It's chicken time! Let's add details to our pinch pot to turn it into a chicken or a rooster. You'll be getting a hunk of clay, and we'll use this for lots of different parts on our chicken. Take a chunk, and we're going to begin rolling it back and forth between our hands. Sometimes you might have more luck rolling it on the table. I like to use my arm to roll. This will be the chicken's head. So we don't want it super skinny. If it's super skinny, it'll end up drooping. So kind of just a little hot dog shape. It has a lot of lumps and wrinkles in it. So with your finger, just kind of smooth out some of those parts. Once you've got it smooth enough, hold it up to your pinch pot to see if it makes sense. Does that look like it makes sense for the chicken's head and neck? No, it's way too long. Taking a clay tool, I'm going to cut some of it off. Now, let's check it again to see if it makes sense. That makes much more sense. It's a pretty small head for my big pinch pot, but maybe you want a really big fat bird, and that's okay. I think I'm gonna roll with it. Now clay, unlike Play-Doh or silly putty or modeling clay, we can't just stick the two pieces together and cross our fingers that it sticks. There's a few special things we need to do to get earthenware clay, that's this stuff, to stay put. The first thing we need to do is take a pencil, works great, to scratch into the clay. Notice it's kind of deep. We're going to rough up the clay. This is also called scoring the clay. To score it or scratch it to rough it up. Think about Velcro. Velcro is rough on two surfaces, so we are going to scratch or score the piece that we are attaching. Both pieces are rough and scratched. Then we are going to, usually we apply something called slip, which is a muddy version of clay. It's clay with a lot of water to it. We're going to use some vinegar, just kind of smelly, and stick that paintbrush and mush it around a little bit. It'll automatically make it a little muddy. Then we'll put some fingers, either one or two fingers, on the inside to support when we push down. We don't want to smash our pinch pot by accident. Now this step is very important. We need to smooth the neck of our bird into the pinch pot, making it nice and smooth at seam. Give it a little wiggle to make sure it doesn't fall off, because if it falls off now, you bet it's gonna fall off after it comes out of the kiln. You might even need to take a little tool to blend the pieces together. Then, of course, make it pretty again. Smooth it out. Never get your clay too wet or it will turn muddy into slip. Your fingers should always look kind of dry and never coated with clay. We're gonna need some eyeballs. Rip off just little bits of clay, roll them into a ball. When you're creating the eyes, think about, do you want them to be round? Do you want them to be oval, slightly flattened? Do you want one to be bigger than the other? So as you're rolling, think about those things. Then hold them up on your bird, see how it looks, and make any changes. Let's stick them on there. Scratch or score. This part's kind of hard. Just poke some little holes in both of the eyes. Add some slip or vinegar. Support the neck as you stick these on. You choose whether you want to poke the hole for the eye or if you want to just paint it on with glaze later. I think I'm going to just paint that little black dot in the eye later with glaze. Creating the beak. Take another little chunk of clay, it's not very much, And you can kind of pinch it to make a triangle shape. There's a lot of extra over here. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Maybe you will find a different way to make a beak for your chicken. I like to just pinch it to the shape that I wanted. You can use one of your plastic clay knives or tools to cut off the end. See if you like it. Does that make sense for your chicken? Are you happy with that? Is it too big, too small? Should you turn it the other way? Test it before you attach it. I'm going to tap the bottom of it on the table so it fits to the beak, fits to the neck a little bit better. When attaching, remember to scratch the beak and where it goes, add slip or vinegar, push it in place, and give it a little wiggle to make sure it doesn't fall off. You can also use a pencil to draw a line where the top and bottom beak meet. Let's add some feathers to the top of the head. You can take just another little hunk of clay, roll it on the table or in your hand. We don't want it super long and thin because it'll tend to droop. I kind of like that. If you tap it on the table, you'll get a nice flat base. Make sure that it fits. Remember to scratch, add slip or vinegar, and smooth it to the bird's head. Give it a little wiggle. If it falls off in your hands, you need to blend more. This can be a frustrating process, but it's worth it. We don't want your pieces to fall off. Really blend. You can make a few feathers for the top of the head. We need some wings. Split off 2 lumps of clay from your piece. Roll it into a ball. Squish it flat. The more you touch your clay and work with it, the more cracks you're going to get in it. You can add a little bit of water or vinegar to it, but you don't want to add too much or it turns muddy into slip. That's better. Okay, doesn't look like a wing, I know. Let's take a clay tool, like a clay knife, and if you cut a few little slices, 2 or 3, you have feathers. You can take your fingers and sculpt them. If you're happy with the wing you created, make sure you scratch, add slip, stick it on and blend a little bit and give it a wiggle to make sure it doesn't fall off. Another way that you could make the wing is to start off kind of rolling it into a little ball and then pinching the end, kind of like we did for the beak. Kind of pinching it so it's either an oval or you can have a tapered end where it gets thinner, almost like a raindrop shape. And this could make a nice wing too. You can even draw feathered texture on there. And you would attach them the same way. We can add the chicken's wattles. That's the little red dangly piece under the beak. Start by rolling the tiniest little hot dog shape. This piece goes directly underneath the beak. Don't forget to scratch. And add some slip, and then really smooth it on. Then give your wattle a wiggle, making sure it doesn't fall off.